My origin story, I find very amusing. I think it's a bit odd. So I was like 12, 13, and I'm lucky enough to have a gay uncle who is like gay as a bag of glitter, just like me. And he showed me like New York drag queens like Jackie Beat and like Sherry Vine and stuff. I think I was mainly inspired though by Jackie Beat. Because Jackie Beat was just like, I was a much heavier set kid when I was like 16, 17, and Jackie Beat was just this like huge, like round woman, version of a woman that was just so loud and obnoxious and so much fun. But she was so funny and she was so shady and she was just everything. And she had like the biggest of brows and the biggest of wigs and like the gayest of outfits. Like she was very like 80s, 90s inspired. Which is where a lot of my drag sort of inspiration comes from. So I was like in love. I was like, oh my God, I can be a woman without being a woman. Like, that's excellent. And then I decided, starting year 11, I was like, I'm going to do drag once. Only ever once in my life. I can't see it being my life, but just once for my year 12 formal. And I had this plan. I was going to be in a massive black updo, like very like Marie Antoinette, like French Revolution, like gorgeous, huge, big black ball gown. Because it was like, I was like going like I was ready for a funeral. And then 6 months later, I dropped out of high school. And I was like, well, that's not happening. And then 6 months after that, I turned 16 and I moved in with him, living in Brisbane. The day after I moved in, he was like, so you wanted to do drag. You've got 2 years until you hit the club. Why don't we be stupid and just do drag for 2 years? And if you like it when you go out into the club, continue and have fun with it. And I did for 2 years and I became the most biggest egoed woman you had ever met. I was like 17. I was a woman. I thought I was like Joan Collins in Dynasty. I'm a woman. And then I turned 18. I went through a few names back then. I wasn't the glamorous Raquel Feltch that you see now. I went out into the club and I was named Veronica Lee. Veronica with a K. So my little tagline was Veronica Lee with a K, not a C, because I wasn't born with a cunt. I was born as one. The queer community for me it's such a safe place because like I was raised in a very small kind of backwards country town and I was the only queer in the village and was bullied my entire life. I was like absolutely shunned, absolutely bullied. And when I moved to Brisbane when I was 16, I was kind of like, I'm moving to the city, like I'm instantly just gonna have a bunch of gay friends, but a lot of queer spaces are 18 plus. So you kind of got to wait until that moment, unless you are lucky enough to find queer friends at a very young age. And I just didn't have that. So turning 18, I just threw myself into the scene. I was like, just like the little like barfly that just never left the club. And I met, straight away, I met the most amazing two drag queens that hold such a dear place in my heart. They sort of taught me the ropes of what, especially drag sisterhood is. And I'm so blessed to have them. And then since moving to Sydney, well, Brisbane says a lot about Sydney girls and a lot of them are very vicious. And I walked in and instantly there was a room of like 10 girls on the first day that I walked in drag. And not one of them didn't come up and say hi to me. Not one of them didn't hug me. Not one of them didn't like properly welcome me. The way that you should welcome any human being, especially if you don't know them, you should always welcome everyone. And we still, a year and 9 months on, we still text each other. We're all still going to each other's shows. We have dinners together. They give me something that I never thought I would experience growing up because of where I grew up. And like, we grew up in a small country town as a poor family. My parents were always at work. So like I understand what a family is, but I never felt what a family properly was. And then I walked into this room of a bunch of girls and they are just the most amazing human beings I've ever met in my life. And without them, I genuinely would be lost. The entire drag community here in Sydney has just embraced me with open arms. We're all there to help each other. We're all there for each other. We might fight and bicker, but that's what a family does. That's what sisters do. But they are just the most amazing people on the planet. And I'm so blessed to have met them.